last up on our list is the review for the episode 3 of The Penguin and some light talk about episode 2.
Yep.
Since we didn't get to talk about it last week. But yeah, I mean, The Penguin has just gotten better week after week, man. It's so good. Some things I want to touch on in episode 2. I love the whole episode, like he was working everyone. Like he worked the Maronis, and then he's working Sophia the entire time. And yeah, I mean I love the scene with the where Oz is setting up the Falcons, with the Maronis stealing the drops.
Yeah.
I thought that was an amazing scene where like Vidi forces him to get into the front truck, and he's got to improvise his way out of that. And like he saves Sophia's bodyguard, and it's just, that's great. And then he has this kind of plot with getting this guy back for the Maronis, but he has to improvise it because Vic fucked up, and now he's got to kill this guy, and he plants the murder weapon on Sophia's bodyguard. I mean, like, it's just, the whole thing was so like, he's flying by the seat of his pants, but like he is working it so well. It's beautiful to watch.
Yeah.
It's so fun.
Yeah. I don't know if I can add, because I agree.
Right. But then, but yeah, like I loved the ending of the episode 2 was great, where like Sophia finally comes around and she's like, hey, let's work something. Let's do something together. And I don't know. I love those two coming together. And then like
they have such great chemistry together.
They do. Like they're destined to hate each other, but like they are so good together. I love it. And yeah, and episode 3 is the episode of them fully teaming up. And but it's also the episode where we get a lot of backstory and story around Vic. And that was like surprisingly maybe my favorite part of the entire episode, was like learning so much about Vic. Like I truly loved like that whole opening scene where like we got to meet his family, and then he was up on top of the roof with his girlfriend partying with a bunch of people. And then like I don't know why, but I wasn't expecting that to be the moment for the bombs. I don't know why. And it shocked the hell out of me.
Yeah.
And it was yeah, I mean, it was a devastating thing to watch. And I was like, oh shit, yeah, this does happen to Vic. But yeah,
what's really I don't want to say that word.
Cool. It's really cool.
No, what I found to be really affecting is that when we watch the Batman and the walls, the seawalls break or whatever, and the city gets flooded, you're like, oh shit, like it's flooding, like
right.
Oh, that
but we don't
sucks.
see how it's like affecting most of Gotham, right?
Yeah, like you're just like, oh no, like there's water in the streets. That sucks. I mean, like, right. Yeah, there were people in peril, but it didn't feel as devastating as it's one of those things where it's when you focus in on just a family, that's what is more devastating, because you're seeing somebody's life and the people he loves, and then finding empathy and for them, right. And like
his whole life just gets ripped out from him.
And then just like the impact of like the water just going into their apartment building and yeah. So when that happened, it was just like it was just, I just found it to be very emotional, and that what the Riddler didn't so much. It felt less like, I don't know.
Yeah,
it felt like a better word, like comic book, like, oh, I'm gonna break down the seawalls and interrupt a bunch of things. It felt like I caused pain and suffering.
Right, but I also feel like it caused less of like it made Riddler not as right as he like was trying to be. Like I don't think he wanted to affect those kind of people in Gotham, but he ended up hurting them the most. And because like Crown Point is pretty much the only place they talk about that's like completely wiped out the map.
Yeah.
Or wiped off the map. And so, yeah, I think it kind of recontextualizes the Batman a little bit, which is cool.
Yeah.
But I also love that scene later on where Vic has like real trauma. Like he has like PTSD basically. And when he's in the club, he hears these like loud, I don't know, you couldn't call them explosions in the club, but like he basically feels like they are.
Yeah.
And he basically is seeing the bombs, and he drops all the drugs that he's holding, and they're like vibrating in the exact same way as like the pebbles were. Like it was really well done to bring it all that full circle. And I love that, like, that's kind of what pushes him over the edge into leaving Oz, like, initially. So yeah, I mean, like, all of Vic's story in this episode was just perfect.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I like his relationship with Gabrielle.
Gabrielle?
I
don't know. I can't
remember. But it wasn't like incredible, but I appreciate.
I enjoyed seeing a girlfriend for him, right?
Yeah, and I felt like when I think what was more affecting was like, I'm on my way, I'm at the bus, and you're
right.
Yeah, and just him like trying to talk in the car beforehand. He's like, it's like this this person who I care about, and
he never gets the opportunity until it's too late.
But like while he was saying that, I was like, he's gonna kill you, and he's just like,
what's so surprising
he's gonna kill me.
Is that like I agree. I thought he was gonna kill him too, but then he's like, I've never like wanted to force you to stay. I thought like this was a mutual benefit, I thought I was really helping you, but you felt like I had a gun to your head the whole time.
Oh my god, that scene in the bathroom.
I genuinely didn't expect that side of Oz. Like I thought he really was kind of like half using him so that he had control, so that Vic couldn't like rat on him later on, right? And I think you see that like at the bar scene afterwards, like he truly thinks of Vic as like someone who's really close. I mean, I don't know if it's family or not, but like he really cares about him.
He does.
And I thought that was really nice to see that like Oz actually has a heart,
Yeah. And I think it says a lot when he's like, I could go on the bus, and he just decides to not.
Yeah. I mean, I think that's what was powerful in like giving him the girlfriend, was that like you got to see that he could have this life that I think the old him would want. But now I think he realizes he can make something for himself.
Which like they do hint at the beginning, like it because when he was saying like, isn't this what you want? Like, and he was like telling his dad, like, don't you want more than this? And
Sure. But I don't think Vic ever envisioned him doing like the things he's doing to get there.
No.
Which is where I think like he's struggling, right?
But I do think that like it was interesting, like Oz was saying, like, your dad would be proud of you, and he's like,
would he? Right. Yeah, because I don't think he would be. Yeah. But now Oz is kind of like his dad, so Oz is proud of him.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, the rest of the episode though, we quickly kind of get Oz introduced into this Bliss drug business.
Which, by the way, I was like, Scarecrow, maybe it's Hugo Strange, and then I was like, all right, no, it's just a drug that they use to sedate people in Arkham, which is cool. I'm down with it.
I think
cool.
I think they really heavily explain the lore behind it, and I thought that was really dope.
Yeah.
I think, I mean, I don't have any problem. I mean, I was just surprised. I think that they went that in depth with like, well, it's these things at the top of the shrooms that like we get, and it turns our mind off and makes us submissive, and I was like, all right, cool. But then Oz has the idea to get the triads in to distribute it. And then he needs Vidi to kind of complete this connection with the triads. And I mean, so they don't really waste much time with getting some. I mean, they already had the knowledge that he was sleeping with Luca Falcone's wife,
right?
But yeah, they walk in on him because they make a deal with the wife, and we get another scene where like his character is insulted and he loses it just like he did on Alberto. And I was like, yeah, I like this. I like this is like his one button that you don't push with Oz, you know? But yeah, I love that VD's kind of been put in his place. He's been a real piece of shit this season. And yeah, he fully falls in line. Yeah, and I had thought before the episode, I was like, oh, he's really got to do some work with like the Maronis to like, but you know, and then I forgot while I was watching it, and then you know, at the very end, they show up out of nowhere.
Before that, though,
okay.
Like,
oh yeah, we did kind of skip a scene where like they're negotiating. You're right.
Yeah, so like they negotiate.
Yeah,
they pull the fucking thing off. You know, Sophia, like she's like, I can't tell like who wants this more, like me or you.
Yeah.
And there's this whole, you know, I can't wait to see the flashback to like him being the driver for her and what's going on with all that stuff.
Yeah.
And she's just like this whole their history and like their relationship is so interesting because he's so, you know, is playing different things, but is also like genuine at times and cares and she, I like, there's a part of her that like wants to trust him and she even says like, I just don't know how I to trust you again.
Right, I mean, like, and when he caused the worst thing in his entire life or her entire life.
Yeah, right. And she's like, I don't know how to trust you again. He's like, well, just let me continue to show you how. And then
great line.
Boom, the Maronis show up.
But even before we get into that, though, I do want to say, like, I still am struggling to tell if Oz is at all sincere, like when he's talking with Sophia, because like he acts like it for sure. I mean, like the way he was getting emotional at the end when he's like, yeah, I did what I needed to do for me. But there's not like a day in my life where I
regret it. A man like me. Oh my God. Right. I was like, whoa.
Yeah, I was like, wow, you have some balls to say that. But I think he felt like he could because like the criticism of him was that he always says the right things. And I think she needed to see a realer side of him.
Yeah, maybe.
But
then it just leaves her.
Well, I think like we don't know exactly what the Maronis said to them, but like the entire deal with the Maronis almost outs like Oz as Alberto's killer. So like things could have been real fucked up at that point, and maybe that's why he was like, "We got to go. Like, just screw it. Let's just get out of here, Vic, and we'll deal with it." But yeah, I mean, I almost feel like if some stuff was let out of the bag, then like it's pretty much over. Like those two are never working together again.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know how they work together in the next episode at all with him just ditching her like that.
I can't imagine they do. And I feel like most of the next episode is going to be like flashback.
Or it's just going to be them on the run right now because he was like, we're really in it now.
Yeah. Yeah. I think, I don't know if you saw the previews for next week though.
I didn't.
It looks like we're going to be seeing like Sophia younger. And this is when like Mark Strong comes in as her dad.
Okay.
So I don't know. I mean, I know some of it's going to be a little flashbacky next episode. But who knows if it's going to be the entire thing.
Right.
But yeah, I think we're going to get to see Oz as the driver like you're wanting. So that'll be great. Yeah.
It just keeps turning in all these really interesting directions, and it's just keeping me on my fucking toes.
Yeah, it's pretty great. And we got 5 episodes left. So I just like every time like we get to a boiling point with Sophia and Oz, I'm like, how is there 5 more episodes? You know, like, yeah. I mean, after the first episode, I was like, how are we doing 7 more episodes of this?
If they can keep this up, I mean, this will be like a show for the fucking books. Like,
yeah, it could easily be top 3 shows of the year right now for sure.
Yeah.
Well, that's a review We are very happy with the show, and we'll be back for episode 4, I think.